I if my husband was here, he would join in on this story. So you saw my video last week on Thursday of how scared I was of this MRI because I have nightmares. I'm just claustrophobic, and I didn't realize that until I got an MRI many years ago. So, once they said that my insurance paid for the sedation, and my husband was coming with me, and even to the last minute, I was up half the night trying to find another alternative to MRIs. And what I found out is that they do have now, I think it started somewhere in the West Coast, they're called stand-up open MRIs. And basically, it's just the sides. And all of this is open in front of you, and you sit or you stand. And you sit in a seat that holds you in place. And so the MRI is behind you and on the side of you. You've got about 18 inches. What's that? Like maybe that much space. And in front of you is a TV. So you could, watch the TV, and I don't know, maybe they have little butterflies and, rainbows and oceans, but you have a TV in front of you. So I found out that that they do have two here in Houston. So I couldn't sleep because I was having nightmares. I was having panic attacks that night. That I'm gonna get stuck in that machine. They're not gonna be able to get me out. I'm gonna pass out and not breathe and all this stuff. And so I slept well, but I put on my alarm to call as soon as those places opened. And unfortunately, because it was the last day of the year, because then it was the weekend, and Monday was the second, and they all closed and everything. That Friday was the last day, and they were all booked up for the whole entire day. And so I just said, okay, let me just brave it. So my husband took me, and I was I was just trying to find every excuse to not go. But we went, and I was just really nervous. And I guess because it was the day before the weekend and the New Year coming up, it was only two people. Last time it was 4 women. So I only recognized one of the women. This other woman that was there was new. And she's like, "You're in the open MRI." So, the girl who saw me last week, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Darling, you're on the open MRI." I'm like, "Yup," because otherwise I'd walk right out the door. So, waiting maybe 5 minutes pass, and I see the new girl coming to me with this look on her face. It's like she was afraid. And I was like, uh-oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? There was only 4 people there. What's wrong? She's coming to me. What's wrong? She's not talking. I'm like, what's wrong? She says, according to your doctor on this order, you're supposed to be in the closed MRI. I was like, I didn't care. I flipped out. I was like, no. That is wrong. I said, that is not going to happen. The only reason I drove an hour out, it's about a 45-minute drive. The only reason why I drove an hour out here, I told her, is because you have an open MRI. Because if I was going to torture myself, I could just stay back home in Pearland, where they have the closed MRIs. No. She told me to come here because you have the open MRIs. So she's like, well, do you remember which machine you went? I don't know. You want to show me the machines? I don't know. I just know I'm in the open MRI. And she was like, do you remember if you were on the left or on the right? I don't remember none of that, I told her. All I remember is I'm supposed to go to an open MRI. She says, do you remember what your technician looks like? Tall, blonde hair. All I know is I'm not getting into a closed MRI. So she looks at me and says, you're such a trip, and walks away. If she got annoyed, I'm like, is she out of her mind? I said, I'm supposed to be sedated. And then she said, oh, do you want to be sedated? Why did we reschedule? Because I couldn't do it last week. What makes you think I want to be able to do it this week? You have to sedate me. That's when she left. You're a trip. And if she was annoyed, I'm like, she's like, it's crazy. And my husband's just sitting there. So My husband was upset, and I already knew that. I expected not to be. My appointment was like for 3:30. I didn't expect to be seen till 5, but he was kind of annoyed because I don't know why he didn't. He was trying to get off, and they didn't want to give him off, so he was kind of self conscious about leaving work. And I'm like, you know, so they finally did call me about 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, and they walked me into the open MRI, and they had the door open. They had like different machines, but I think only 2 MRIs. The other ones are CAT scans. But I saw the closed MRI. It's just like for the head only, but still, I wasn't doing that. I was like, they're crazy if they thought they want to put me in that. So they bring me to the thing, and then the man comes in, and then I said, I thought you said you had a doctor and what do they call it again? Ambulance people. Oh yeah, they're here. So, the guy starts getting me all set up, and the room was nice and cold, thank God, because I didn't want to get hot, because I feel like I can't breathe, like the blood rushes to my head. I went in my pajamas. Took off my dress. Had my pajamas on underneath. I was not playing. I needed to be comfortable. I needed to be cool. And so finally the guy walks in, and then he tells me you have to sign this paper. And it starts saying, all of these things that could happen, and you could allergic reaction, and you could die. I'm like, okay, so I have these allergies. This is the medication I take. Blah blah blah. I just want to let you know before you do this. I want you to tell me if anything is gonna go wrong. And he's like, I know. I think the worst I've seen is just people breaking out in hives. I was like, okay, hit me. As soon as he put that thing in me, I thought I was gonna feel like sleepy. But it like worked immediately. I was like completely calm. Like I didn't feel drugged, because he said some people feel like really drugged. I seen women walk out of there, they couldn't walk from that drug. But I didn't feel that. Maybe because of my size, I don't know. I just felt so completely relaxed. While I was up the night before, like I said, I was reading about techniques for people who have, claustrophobia, getting MRI. So you have to distance yourself. But I told him, look, how far are you going to push me in here? Because it's not open on the sides. It's open from the bottom and from the back. I don't have eyes behind my head. So I just want to just be able to look down and see the openness. Thank God he did that. And yes, they lock your face in, and yes, the thing is like practically right here, I just kept my eyes closed, and I started distancing myself, thinking about my dog in heaven or at the Rainbow Bridge, my cat at the Rainbow Bridge, thinking about what it's going to be like when I see them again, thinking about them being in my arms, being on my lap, being at my feet, so I'm thinking of ocean waves going, the sand, the beach, the seagulls, and the blue skies, and the white clouds, and the sunshine. Oh my goodness. They had asked me, do you want to put a pillow underneath your legs? Because, for my bad back. And I'm like, no, because I thought it might make me feel more confined. Oh my goodness. They said it was only going to be like 30 minutes. They said as long as you don't move. But by a certain, like maybe halfway through, my back was hurting so bad, and I wasn't allowed to move to get comfortable. And my husband was holding my hand, but they didn't have any chairs there. They only had like a little soft bench. So you had to sit down. But I said, Steve, are you there? He said he thought I was knocked out. I was so quiet, and I wasn't moving because I wasn't allowed to. Because the only thing I was trying to move was getting my arm comfortable. So he saw me move my arm like lay it flat like that. And he was like, oh, she conked out. But that wasn't the case. So I'm like, Steve, and he couldn't hear me because it is, I don't know. I forgot. It is noisy. It's just going, ba, 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 and that's right in your ear. So to me, I made it music. I was like, ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. This is what I'm doing in my head. I was just doing everything not to have a panic attack, but it was like that stuff works so well. It's like almost immediate. It just calms you down. So I wasn't like, my heart wasn't palpitating or anything. So, you know, I finally, they give you a button to squeeze, and I squeezed it, and he's like, the man came in and flabbergasted. What? We only got 10 minutes left. What? Please, you know, I'm like, I just want a pillow for my leg. My back is hurting. I was like, so bad. No, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to move you. Just 10 more minutes. So now I'm like trying to count in my head, is it 10 more minutes? By this time I was done. I'm so glad it was just a 30-minute thing, because the one I did back in North Carolina, I'll tell you, they're so evil. They freaking went, it was supposed to be for 2.5 to 3 hours. They were supposed to give me 2 breaks, and they didn't want to do that. The lady was going behind, and she left. She didn't even stay in the room. You know, because they have someone outside they're behind the glass. And I was like, hello, she left. And then she didn't even give me a chance to get, I could barely walk. And she's like rushing me out to take the next person. You know, and so, you know, I'm like, I would not have been able to do that this time. My back was hurting too much from this thing. And so thank goodness the 10 minutes passed by quickly. I was just trying not to move. But as soon so when it's over, he's like taking me out, and he's like, you know, get up slowly, you know, and I'm like so relaxed. And my husband's like, you know, are you hungry? I'm like, yeah, because by now it was like 4:30 or whatever, going on 5. And so he's like, you know, I want a burger. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to go to any place expensive. But I was like really calm, like, okay, I don't really want a burger, but we'll have a burger if you want. I just don't want to go to anywhere expensive. This is how I was talking. And so right across the street was a McDonald's. So I was like, well, if you want a burger, we could go there. You know, they have breakfast items. I'll just get a breakfast item and my coffee. And, you know, you could get your meal. And as I'm ordering, like, yeah. But I was like kind of like swaying. I was like, yeah, I like the biscuit and the large vanilla coffee, please. And he's like, at one point I was like going like that. My husband had to hold me, and you know, so we're sitting and he was so relaxed. And not that they got his order wrong, but he requested a double quarter pounder, and they only gave him a quarter pounder. And men can be big babies, and so like I ordered a large, and it's a large coffee, and it's a large coffee, and I knew that they didn't give me a large, so they gave me a large to go. And it was, you know, some people don't know how to make coffee, man. They have people working in these coffee places that don't know how to make coffee, and it drives me crazy. Somebody else did my coffee, and it was so good. But anyway, so he's like, well, I want another sandwich. Normally, I would argue with him. Like, stop being a big baby, you ate, you know, we're going to go to groceries night. I was like, okay, get yourself another sandwich. And the double quarter pounder practically costs as much as another meal. Again, normally I would fight, but I'm like, okay, you can have that. And he's like, we need to go back and ask them what they gave you, because I need to bottle it and give it to you all the time. He said, I don't know if you've had surgery. I don't think they have this anymore, but they used to give you a morphine drip that you can control. He's like, I would IV you with this thing, he says to me, and keep pressing it. And every time you get mad at me, he said, I'll press the button on you so that you can stop yelling at me. But I was like so relaxed. It started wearing off on the way home, because then I started thinking about stuff that upset me. You know, but I was like well enough to do groceries, and when I came home, I, you know, put away the groceries with my daughter, so it kind of wore off pretty quickly. But but that was hilarious. If he was here, he'd be telling you all of this, and he'd be making you laugh.